I am borrowing this, but you can do anything as a startup, but you can't do everything. And you need to stick to a plan. And as long as you're meeting your plan, you stay focused, and you have to stay focused. And those are key principles that I follow, that I try to coach other startups when I'm helping them.
Hello, welcome to EdTech Leaders. Today we have Warren Fisher, the CEO of Mission CIT. Welcome, Warren.
Thank you. Happy to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Absolutely. So let's dive right in and tell us what the mission is of Mission CIT.
That's great. Mission CIT, the CIT stands for Critical Immersive Training. And that goes back to our initial roots, where we started out as a company that was going to provide virtual reality training to firefighters. We have pivoted from that, as many startups do, and I'll tell you about the company now. But what we do today is we provide training, testing, and strategic services for the fire service, EMS, and organizations looking for emergency management services, including some police, law enforcement related capabilities.
Okay. So the range is, some of it is hands-on technical training.
So let's start with EMS. In the EMS world, we provide initial training to EMTs and EMRs. So in the state of Connecticut, the levels are EMR, EMT, and paramedic. And we're doing the first two levels of training. We build our own content. We run our own courses. They're all certified by the state of Connecticut. We get course numbers, and students who take our courses are then enabled to take a test to become a licensed EMT or EMR. We also build recertification content for all levels, for EMR, EMT, AMT, and paramedic. And we also have a testing suite that allows our students to prep for their licensing exam, the National Registry written exam, and we provide that as well. So that is the EMT side. The fire side, we have a program called the All-in-One Service, primarily dedicated to volunteer fire departments. So in the fire world, there's career departments, which are about a third of U.S. departments, and then 2/3 are volunteer departments. And we're here in the state of Connecticut, and that's pretty much, in the state of Connecticut, there's 288 fire departments, 60 or so are career, and the balance, 220, are volunteer departments. And the All-in-One Service provides ongoing training for those departments on a monthly training service. So if you will, I come from a software background where everybody knows what software as a service is. So we created a training as a service platform, and that's what it is. And you sign up for a year, and we provide a schedule for monthly training. And for that, it's mostly in person with a little bit of online. And then they also get access to our online EMS recertification content. So it's a good platform. It's a good program for the volunteers. And with that, they also, now they get access to our latest capabilities, which is a mobile live burn trailer, where we'll come on site and do a live burn with live fire, mostly smoke. It's not dangerous, but it still has to be well managed by experts, which we have on our team. And we provide those skills which every department needs to manage. They need to comply with their annual OSHA requirements, and each department has their own set of skills they need, and we provide that training for them as well. So that's the fire side, and it's growing. And I'll tell you, and when we get to it, I'll tell you what the future is, because the future is happening soon. But then on the strategic services side, we provide strategic planning for fire departments. And oftentimes it's a department in transition, or a county department in some states, but mostly it's county and local fire departments. And they're usually in a transition from going from a volunteer to a combo. We're kind of touch upon that, but a combo department has some volunteer and some paid. And it could be any combination of the above. Usually the chief is paid, some of the officers are paid, and the rest are volunteer, but it could be a different combination too. With that, when a fire department is going through transition, they need help to go through transition to combo or from combo to a career department, and we'll provide that consulting for them. And we'll also work with a number of counties where there is a population growth and they don't have sufficient services in the county to serve whatever changes are happening with the growth. And we'll help them reorganize their county departments, it can be county owned or it could be a combination of local, and we'll help them reorganize and plan for the future. So it's really a lot of expertise that is required. On our staff are a number of chiefs, some of them active, some of them retired, that have worked both in career and combo and volunteer departments. So they bring that expertise and frankly, the experience of hard knocks and what it takes to make it work. And it's a very valuable service to these departments. And finally, we do emergency management services. And emergency management is basically emergency operations planning. You may see it called an EOP. And then emergency response training, which is ERT. And this is for corporations and healthcare organizations. Could be a hospital, could be a large corporation on a large campus. And there's a number of emergencies they need to be able to deal with, from fire and health to earthquake to tornado and hurricane and all those low frequency, high risk events that a corporation or hospital needs to be prepared for, and then they need to train for it. So not only do we give them the plan, but we provide the training plan. And oftentimes they also need individual training that comes with healthcare. So we'll give them first aid and CPR training. And sometimes they want a little higher level, so we'll do EMR training for their team. And some will even start to develop a fire brigade if they're a large enough organization. So we're a multifaceted organization. That was part of the strategy when we started this. It takes time to get there, but we've reached that level of critical mass in the organization, and we're very happy to be providing these services.
You do a lot, and most of it sounds like, is hands-on. Most of it is
hands-on. The online courses that we provide are generally hybrid, and our view of that hybrid training in the first responder world is 1/3 online, 1/3 interactive. Could be a platform like Teams or Zoom to do it with, and then 1/3 in person, which is skills training. And the skills training has to be in person, and or live fire, and we have the skills and the team to do all of that, and the certifications.
Are you building the online video component? Do you want to grow that? And do you want that proportion to change? Or do you feel like that proportion is about right?
So my background is software and technology. As we discussed before the podcast started, my teammates, my partners, and I'm one of four, are all firefighters. One partner is a training captain in Bridgeport, and he has a regional and national reputation for training, and is always being requested to go to national events and do his training. Second partner is a lieutenant in Fairfield, and he is a paramedic, and he runs our EMS division. And the third person is a volunteer firefighter. He has been chief of his volunteer department here in Connecticut. And he also has been president of the fire board. And he brings with him a PhD, and he runs our testing and strategic services group. So they're all fire. We have it all covered between them, and we've built the team around them. I bring the business and tech, and the sum of the parts is the whole is much greater than the individual parts here.
How did this happen? How did the four of you come together to start Mission CIT?
That's a great question. So about 12, 13 years ago, I came to Connecticut from Westchester. I was working in New York, running a tech company, and I was recruited to come to Hartford area to do a turnaround for a private equity company for a tech company. And frankly, it was a challenge I hadn't done before, and I hadn't worked for private equity. I helped take a company public years before that, not as CEO, but as a VP of sales and service. And so this was a checkbox for me. And we came up to Hartford. My wife, who's a CPA, didn't want to pay Westchester taxes anymore as my kids were out of school. And this was a good way to make that change and lower our taxes and have a new challenge. So we did the turnaround. I took over a company that frankly was in a mess, losing 10%, $9 million company that was a $15 million company, losing $1 million a year. And in 18 months, it was back to making money. And after 5 years, it was back to almost 15 million and 20% profits. And I had done my job, and it was time for the next gig. So I wanted to start my own company again. And last time I had done that, I was 25 years old, and I'm older than that now. And I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I started consulting at some accelerators. So if you're familiar with that type of organization, with the incubator accelerator, and that consulting is free. You're giving your time away. And one of the accelerators I was at, a group came through, 2 firefighters, a graphic artist who was the CEO, and a writer. And they were starting this company to do virtual reality training for firefighters, which sounded really cool to me 7 years ago. And I knew zero about the fire service, but I knew a lot about tech. And I looked at what was going on, and I loved their business plan, and it all sounded great. And I asked them, how are you going to run a software company without a software person and paying retail for software? And so they asked me to start helping them. And 2 months later, they asked me to join. And I did my due diligence, which I hadn't really done before. It was presentation and accelerator. And I believed what they told me. And I learned when I did my due diligence that the marketplace for firefighter training is this big, if you can see how far my arms are wide. And the marketplace for virtual reality training in the fire service is about this big. And it is small. And at this point in my career, I didn't want to wait 15 years for a market to emerge. So the 2 firefighters told me, Warren, we think we should do this. Classic pivot of a startup. I said, that makes a lot of sense. Let's go do that. And we did. And we did ask the other 2 to join us, but they didn't. So the 2 firefighters and I, the one who's running EMS and the one who's running our fire training, and I started this company in 2019. And then we incorporated in 2020 in June. And 6 months later, our 4th partner joined us, and he brought the strategic services. They introduced me to him 3 months before and started clicking. Oh, he has a startup consulting business and he wants to do testing and he doesn't know how to do tech. And it would be a great addition to Mission CIT. He agreed to join. And here we are 5 years later. And as I had a number of opportunities, as I discussed them with my family, they said, do the fire service thing. It sounds really cool. And I agreed with them. And I told them, just remember that in 5 years, I'm going to be an overnight success. And that's, it's really what it takes. And it really takes 10 years to take the company to, wow, he's so lucky to have that. And, all the work that goes into a startup and all the challenges, but we're here. And frankly, my gig as a CEO in a turnaround, is all about managing cash flow for private equity and working in a distressed company environment. You learn a lot about all the aspects of being a CEO you don't realize when you're running a growing company. So, yeah, and that's perfect for running a startup, because running a startup is all about cash flow. And we have no outside investment. This is all bootstrapped by us. So it's our company, the four of us. We have a great team. I think we have 150 people working with us now. Many are part-time, and that's the nature of first responders, where they all have second gigs and third gigs. And we have a number of full-time staff as well here. And we have a team in India that also helps us with doing our content development and managing our technology development. So technology development is both here and in India, and our content development, our expertise, our subject matter experts are here. And then the details of building online content, and there's 30 plus steps to go from, oh, we're going to build this course, to actually having something on our website that works. They take, in India, we do about 25 of those steps. And I have a long background coming from tech. I had started 2 other Indian companies before, a lot of friends, and was able to work with one of those friends to provide that service here. While when you're starting, not only is your cash tight, so you need those resources, and you need to be able to afford it, but I knew how to work with a team and get the same level of quality skills that we would get here and deliver a quality product. And here we are.
So I want to get to marketing in a minute, but what you've just said makes me want to touch for a minute on operations. If you had, I know this is a broad topic, but if you had 1 or 2 pieces of advice about scaling a company like yours, what would it be?
So we have a number of operational challenges, and you can see. So on the EMS side, we run classes in 4 locations, sometimes 5. Now, when we started, I was so happy to have 17 people in a class. Some of our classes had 5 or 6. Our last 3 classes have 60, 72, and 55 students. So it's a lot with multiple locations. We're running classes almost every night. We have to schedule instructors that are going to do the Zoom sessions various nights, various hours. We have to have instructors that show up do the skills, and they have to be trained. So what we did over probably 3 years ago is we got a piece of scheduling software, Sling. They've done a great job for us. And we're at Get Sling, and we have everything built out there for both fire and EMS. We got a piece of infrastructure software for our consulting team, where they're recording their hours and they're managing their projects, and we use Harvest for that, the tool that works best for us. And we got a project management software in place. We use Asana for that. So that infrastructure has powered us to get to where we are today. There's legs in all of that. And so for the next foreseeable future, which I look at futures in 18-month increments, we're fine. We're good with that infrastructure. We have an accounting infrastructure, classic small business with QuickBooks, and that combination works for us. And yeah, so that I think that's getting a good infrastructure and being able to manage it so you can scale instead of paying 5 people to do what half a person can do is really important.
So getting the right infrastructure, systems in place, tech stack, and managing cash flow and the right people.
And the right people. So we have a logistics person. As EMS has grown, we have somebody managing our instructors and training our instructors and making sure that they're all training the same thing to our standards. And we have somebody on EMS. When you take an initial EMT class or other classes, you need patient touches. And that patient touches right along precepting, those are all terms used, needs to be managed. Right now, we have 135 students that all need 10 patient touches over a 7, 8, 9-week period. So we have to put the partnerships in place for that with hospitals and emergency rooms and other EMS agencies so that they will have our students come in, designated shift, scheduled, they show up and they get their 10 patient touches, which they're being supervised. People are managing them, and it works. So there's a lot of moving pieces that as we grew, that had to get into place. When we started 5 years ago, it was frankly right after COVID started, and there were no patient touches because there was no ride-alongs because nobody wanted anybody else involved. But fortunately, COVID is long over, and we're back to that capability, a requirement.
And did you add, as you grew, just bit by bit, more infrastructure, build the system, and add more people? Because at the beginning, you're cash strapped. So
Exactly.
how do you do that? Just bit by bit, you figure out what's the most important to have?
Bit by bit. So, the initial people, they're multi-talented, right? They're exposed to everything and they do what's necessary. And then they get too busy and you add somebody else and somebody else. So it has to manage the cash flow. Your cash flow is king. Business plan is king. I am borrowing this, but you can do anything as a startup, but you can't do everything. And you need to stick to a plan. And as long as you're meeting your plan, you stay focused, and you have to stay focused. And those are key principles that I follow, that I try to coach other startups when I'm helping them. But I stick to the same principles for this company that I advise other companies, and we're here. It's working.
Cool. So marketing, what have you done that has worked, and how has that changed?
So for EMS, online marketing works for us, SEO and AdWords. Frankly, we'll do Meta, but we talk to our students at the end of every class, the last week of a class, and we ask them, "How did you find us?" Now we have the analytics and what Google says, and it's imperfect, right? It's their quote customer journey, maybe 9 or 12 or 18 months long when I think I want to be an EMT and they're doing their research to finally clicking and buying the class. So the analytics online won't be perfect because it may just be direct to our website by the time they're ready to buy. So 99.5% of the students come to probably 95% come through AdWords. And the other 5% are word of mouth. But having AdWords, and figuring that out early has been a good way for us to grow the EMS initial business, and that's a significant percentage of our business. On Fire, I got to tell you, it is word of mouth. It is chiefs talking to one another. It is going to chiefs conferences. It is showing up at a trade show once or twice a year where they see your brand and it's Pete who does. Of course, I trust Pete. I'll work with Pete. So Fire's a little different with that. And then the services business is a combination of word of mouth And very often it is a RFP business. We do draw folks in using AdWords, a little bit of LinkedIn, but mostly AdWords. Meta, not so much on the services side, and direct mail. And we've done like good company. We licensed the email lists, and we have a pretty good database of chiefs regionally and nationally that we'll email to, and that does help.
How much of your outreach is to chiefs and to departments, and how much is to individuals who need training just for themselves?
So for departments, it's chiefs and officers, and often depending on the size of the department, we do work with career departments. We provide services to them as well, and that'll be a training officer who will contact. That business of that fire training is mostly Connecticut based, and I have to tell you that everybody knows one another in the fire service. And so to break in is a matter of calling up the chief and saying, "Hi, can I come talk to you?" And 9 out of 10 times they'll have time for you. So, which is very different than other technology businesses that I've been in, where it is elaborate to figure out your go-to-market and how to get in and how to do enough touches and understand the customer journey. Where here on fire, it's a matter of making sure you're in front of a chief once a year, every 18 months, and being there when they have a need.
That's great. What's for the future? What's your plans for growing or not growing? Where do you want to be in the next year?
So I think like a tech person, so I know we're growing, and where we have the business right now, it is not a software business, but we have a lot of content and we build our own software. We expect to have a full reseller platform for EMS and to a degree fire available in the second half of 26. That's all under development right now. The growth is coming with a suite of products for first EMS, and that suite is a combination of our platform, our reseller LMS platform that we have, a multi-tenant platform, and white label platform of it, so that partners can have their minimal look and feel when they're using our platform. And then the software that goes with it, we have the testing prep software already. You have to manage attendance of your students in the class because you have to report to your state office of EMS that your students actually showed up and attended. And you need to be able to manage the precepting, the ride times. And we built software for all that. So all that is going into our platform as an all-inclusive platform with the initial and with the initial content for EMR, EMT, and we'll have AEMT next year as well. So we think it's a pretty good comprehensive platform that we'll be going to market with. And we expect a 36-month plan to go from virtually 0 to 10% of the marketplace that's out there. There's about 2 million EMTs in the country. At least 200,000 new ones have to get trained every year, and we want 10% and more. But we want to get to a 10% piece of that market, and we think we're well positioned to get there. And we're unique in that we're using our own software. We're not just a publisher. We're using our content. We've got immediate feedback from our students. And we know that, and we have a big enough instructor base that they're giving us feedback on all the tools we're using. And I don't like this, do this. So we're that. And it's a good start. It's a good start. Imperfect, but everything is. But it's as good as anybody can do. On the fire side, we are building initial content for the fire certification, Fire 1 and Fire 2, those classes, and that content will be available Q1 next year, and it'll go right into our reseller platform. For that, we're running those courses right now. We're using third-party materials. We're building our own materials now for that. But the big change is we've just released this the mobile burn trailer. We call it our tactical fire lab. But more importantly, we have worked with the town of Rocky Hill, Connecticut, that has a training grounds, a fire training grounds, and the town council has authorized us to run the training grounds and enhance the training grounds. So what we're doing is we're bringing in additional props for fire training that's not available in any of the other fire schools in the state. We don't want to compete with the fire schools in the state. They do a good job for what they do, but these are specialized skills that you need specialized props for that are not available in fire schools. And Pete Morato, who runs that part of our business, he has the vision and the capabilities, and we're getting these props are basically 40-foot Connex boxes, what goes on the back of an 18-wheeler, and they get created, organized, laid out such that you can do specialized live burns in them. And those live burns are there's a box attached to it where you do your burning that creates smoke and a little bit of heat, and then the rest of the box gives a realistic environment for the firefighters to train. And we have 40 different courses that will be training in these 6 boxes at Rocky Hill. And Rocky Hill benefits, we're bringing a lot of business to the town. Their training costs go to virtually nothing because we're happy they're hosting us, and it's a win-win for everyone.
That's great. Sounds like you're really on fire.
Yeah, we are. I love that line. I'm going to use that.
Well, thank you so much. If someone wants to learn more about you, what's the website?
MissionCIT.com. MissionCIT.com.
Great. MissionCIT.com. Thank you so much for joining us today and for talking about your company.
Oliver, thank you.